Hello, people of the internet. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today is the day that many people, myself included, have been waiting for. Alice are back with their latest, fortunately, it's a single again, but their latest single for the Showdown era with the title track MV4 Showdown, and also because the two-track single, we're going to check out the B-side as well. The B-side titled Dizzy afterwards. I have been so tremendously excited for this ever since it got announced. Alice, if you didn't know, formerly went by the name Elris back in the day, and Elris, and even like after they had rebranded to Alice and like had their release last year titled Dance On, and even during their Elris days, like Jackpot, that entire Jackpot era, Elris or Alice, and by extension Elris, and I mean this in the most positive and like appreciative way ever, they always punched way above their weight class when it came to music, and it's been so much fun trying to like keep up with what they're doing. It's like they're always featured on like new songs that you need to know. Like Jackpot was everywhere. Dance Song was everywhere. Dance Song was like my Nugu song of the year last year. It was so freaking good. But it's the newest era. Unfortunately, we're down two members. I believe Doa and Yonjae are on temporary absence, so hopefully they're doing well. They are, I believe it was for hiatus for on medical grounds, so hopefully they make a quick but also a full recovery as well, so they can rejoin the group for whatever they come out with next. But let's check out the song. Here we go. Actually, before we start, if you want to skip ahead to the MV section, use the timeline below, because I want to take a little moment to give a special shout out to Miss Sohee one time, who made her acting debut in Duty After School. I am caught up on the show, or at least finished all 6 episodes of part 1 so far. Part 2 is coming out later this week, I think, something like that, and I'm very much looking forward to when that drops. But for her acting debut, I thought Zoe did pretty well. Admittedly, like, I won't spoil the plot of the show, but admittedly, the show has a lot of characters. So much so that it almost feels like there really isn't like a very clear main character for a lot of time, and it feels like a big supporting cast rather than one singular main character, meaning that even though there's so many characters involved at once, that not a lot of them get the chance to shine, unfortunately, like on their own. And for Soi's character, her kind of shtick gets kind of driven into the ground early on, and it takes a very long time for her to have her like little character arc when we see her kind of like thoughts and like kind of like thinking kind of develop into like the character that she is at the end of part 1, which is a slight shame, but that is one of the downfalls of like having a show where there are so many different characters having so many different evolutions throughout the show, and it's just like jam packed, because there's a lot going on in the show. If you're interested in it, I highly encourage you to check it out. It's quite a good time. It's not a revolutionary drama by any means, but I very much enjoyed it. Also, there was a scene where her and CLC's Unbin are like facing a crisis together, and it's just them two on screen. I found it, I couldn't like it. It was the most inappropriate time to smile like at a drama, but I found myself not being able to like not smile just seeing two idols from groups that I absolutely adore on together on like a drama scene. It was so cool. But anyways, let's get into the song. Here we go. Showdown. Send it.
명품같이 반짝거리는
No
그런 게
captions, but
없어도
that's okay.
난 그저 나로서도 충분하다. 왜냐면 언제 어디서든 너의 시선을 빼앗을 수 있으니까. Yeah. 안녕. 내 걷는 걸음마다 look my way. Don't say hello.
Already we're off to a
내 당당한 태도 딱 적절해.
Is this the... This might be like the most like aggressive start to an Alice song we've had. But also summery? Where's this going to go? Okay, okay. Oh, it's kind of like a summer EDM vibe. I'm digging it. Oh, post-chorus little breakdown? This is a long post-chorus breakdown. And back into the verse. Is anybody else finding that social media filter kind of frustrating considering it's scrolling the wrong direction? Is that just me? That build in the pre-chorus though is really nice to listen to. Like it's really satisfying the way it builds. Going heavy on the mids for this little bridge section. Oh, and again with the breakdown for the final chorus, okay. And no resolution at the end. Okay, okay. I didn't think they'd bring back the breakdown again at the very end, but I can dig it. Oh, a little outro sequence. Okay, okay. It's off a first listen. It's not my favorite Alice song in the world, but admittedly Dance On is going to be an extremely tough song to beat for me. But it's still got that kind of like it's a very Alice like song in a way where it's kind of got that like playful energy to it, but it's delivered in a package I feel like is a little bit different than what we're used to. It's like what would happen if you combine Dance On and Jackpot, but you let it mature a little bit. Like it doesn't have like the same kind of like bright youthful vibe as like Jackpot and Dance On did, but it's kind of going along the similar vibes of that, if that makes sense. The song is definitely leaning into that EDM direction though a lot more than before. I think this might be their most like traditional EDM sounding title that they've made so far. Like Dance On was a pretty like synth heavy song. Jackpot wasn't really an EDM song, but it had a lot of synths involved in it. But like this is like bordering on electro music, which is interesting. I didn't think they'd go for a direction like this. Admittedly, I haven't listened to like teasers before this, so this was completely new to me, but I'm not mad at it. I do think the MV direction is interesting. I'm not gonna elaborate on that anymore than or explain it any more than that. It just there's definitely a lot of fan service involved with the MV. I feel like fan service in MVs, I feel like you don't get a lot of in fourth gen. It just might be like the music I'm listening to, but like this is like very much reminiscent of like early to mid 2010s girl group MVs in the amount of like fan service we're getting with the shots. Which, I mean, I'm not a person that goes back and watches MVs anyway, so it's not going to bother me all that much. It's just interesting choice. But I want to talk about the chorus and the post-chorus real quick. Actually, pre-chorus into post-chorus. And I think the whole sequence of the pre-chorus into the post-chorus is it's for me it's conceptually something that shouldn't work together, but in execution works really well together. Let me try and explain that. This is very much a typical EDM build with like the double timing synth part or percussion part. And there's like no real indicator on like what type of EDM sound they're gonna go for. But the fact that they've gone for this kind of like bright summery vibe moving into the chorus, I think is really interesting because it's a style that from like the visuals we've seen on screen so far wouldn't lead you to think that it'd be this summery EDM bop, but it does anyways. And it, for me at least, it leaves me thinking, how did we get here? But I quite like it. I'm a vibe along to it. Does anybody else get that feeling? Like if we just keep going. And then we get into this like really dirty like halftime breakdown. That's again stylistically entirely different. And then you're left thinking, how do we get here again? But it's another one of those things where they don't really give you the time to think about how you got there because you're just vibing along with it. And then we're back into the verse and you're thinking, or at least I'm thinking, okay, we're back here again. Time to vibe. And I think that kind of like, not shock factor, but like not giving the listener the time to think about how they got to a certain part of the song, I think is a really interesting touch. Kind of like overwhelm the senses and just make a song catchy enough to where the listener is just going to forget about everything that's happened. They're just going to vibe in the present and not think about the past. I quite like that. But, whew, that was a lot of talking, I feel like. But we have the second song to check out. We've got Dizzy. Being a single B-side, we don't get... There's probably, like, comeback stages for it, but YouTube content ID and things like that. This makes it easier to check it out here. So we're going to send it. B-side, Dizzy. Okay, so I guess they're going with an EDM-based album this time. Not mad at it, though. Oh! This is not the beat I expected from this. I like this though. Cut out the bass part. Oh, and a really long chorus. We're getting post-choruses again. Okay, I can dig it. Are they holding the rap verse back again? They are. I love the very little moments where we're getting like the kind of like flowing vocals because it's very sporadic. But this is definitely kind of got that like kind of summery EDM vibe. It's not like entirely summery, but it's there. It's close. Again, not the breakdown I would have expected from this song. I don't hate it though. We haven't had a rap verse though. I need a rap verse. There's the top line vocal. Interesting. We're not getting a rap verse in this song. Either that or I just entirely blacked out when it happened, but... Oh, and again, no resolution at the end. Huh. Okay. I understand. I understand, like, kind of like the sound concept they're going for this. It's very much that, like, bright EDM vibe. Just in time for late spring, early summer, that kind of vibe. Okay. I get you. I get you. I think Dizzy is a much more straightforward EDM pop song. It's very easy to follow. There isn't too much going on in terms of like extracurriculars. Like we had technically we had like a 3-part chorus. I guess a 2-part chorus because we had the post chorus breakdown in Showdown, and then Dizzy, we had kind of like a similar concept of a 2-part chorus, but the post chorus was much more stylistically in line with the main chorus of the song itself. Like this one, once the song starts, it's just go, 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 and it just keeps going. It doesn't really slow down. Even like once the bridge happens, it doesn't really feel like the song ever slows down. Like once it starts going, it just keeps going. One of those songs that just... It's a casual EDM vibe. I'm not mad at it. I do wonder how the song would have sounded, or like technically both songs would have sounded with the full lineup. Admittedly, I don't know what positions Doa and Yeonja are in the group, but I feel like, are we down a rapper possibly? Is that why we didn't get a lot of rapping in these two songs? Because we're down at least a rapper? It's like I quite like the Elris and Ellis rap verses. It's like they bring that kind of like bubbly energy to the song, but delivered in a rapping way instead of a melodic way, and I miss that because we got rapping very briefly in the bridge in Showdown, but if I remember correctly, I don't think we got any in Dizzy. And it's like, it's one of those, for me, like, one of the core elements of the Alice Pops is the fact that we get, like, an equally playful and energetic rap verse within their songs as well. And it's like, oh, oh, it's just, I want to be selfish, I want a little bit more from it. But all in all, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it one bit. Again, it's going to be extreme, like, it was going to be a monumental task to top Dance On for me. Dance On was just one of those songs where I heard it In fact, it got spoiled for me. And even if once it got spoiled for me, I still enjoyed the living daylights out of it listening to it. It was such a good song. It still is such a good song. I don't know what about that song made it so good, but I enjoyed it so much. And admittedly, like Showdown and Dizzy, like this entire like Showdown single, might not be like up to that level right away. I don't really care. I still enjoyed it, and I'm just happy that we're getting music from them at this point. Because like before they rebranded and moved to IOK, there was very genuine fear that we were never going to get Elris ever again. After the absolute bop that Jackpot was very much concerned that, well, it kind of ended up happening to Bandit in a way. Bandit dropped absolute banger that was Venom and then disbanded afterwards. Elris, for me, I was worried they were gonna run into the same thing. They moved to IOK and have had what, two or three singles now. Kind of wish we'd gotten a mini at some point, hopefully in like the fall or maybe like February of next year or something like that. Knowing IOK's release schedule, we'll get a proper release from them and not just singles. But until that time, so just keep enjoying the music and hope. I cannot wait for Duty Part 2 or Duty After School Part 2 to drop. I'm so excited. I want to get back into that show so fast. But lots of talking for me today, but thank you all for bearing with me. Thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy and want to see more, channel icon is up there. You can find the back catalog of stuff watched in the past. Drop a subscription if you want to keep up to date with whenever I upload new videos. And if you don't watch this video mine right away, YouTube recommends you watch that video down there. And until next time, bye bye.